All right. Happy Valentine's Day to our lovers of technology out there. It's Business Express on Smooth 98.1 FM. I am Rotus. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am joined by Taiwo. Taiwo, good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Rodos.
Where's your red t-shirt? Where's your red whatever?
It's a blue day for me.
It's a blue day for you, eh? Yeah, they're watching on YouTube now. If you're on YouTube, you can see my red tie and Io's, what is that, jersey dress?
Yeah, it's a
nice,
short dress.
nice.
Thank
It
you.
matches your demeanor, eh? Your
Yeah, it
loving
says
demeanor.
it says romance 10.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, Lagos, you know the drill. 0809-444-0981. Send in your messages. We are also streaming, as we said, on YouTube, so you can see all the red material in here. youtube.com/smooth981. We are on Twitter. Follow us at smooth981fm. And follow me. I'm trying to reach Kim Kardashian numbers. Huh? Rotan quotes, ROTANKWOT. All right, Taiwo, let's begin now. The ride-hailing companies, or rather the ride-hailing motorcycle firms, they are making a pivot over to food. Gokada CEO Fahim Saleh has been talking to a number of folks in the media. I don't know if you've seen the bikes. The pictures were circulating around on social media. He's calling it Chop, which is, the name of the new business. Now, I said they're going to deploy how many bikes? 2,000? 2,000 bikes. Can they make this work?
Yeah, I think it's a positive sign. I want to believe that this would work because it's a real business need. If it's, I've spoken to a few restaurateurs or restaurant owners, and quite excited about this, and they're hoping that it would also democratize delivery prices generally, because right now they're almost pegged and fixed at at a certain rate. So, for example, you want to buy a meal from somewhere, let's say in Yaba, you want to have it delivered. Maybe it's your favorite restaurant, or you just feel like eating what they have there.
Yeah.
Yaba, you want it delivered in VI, it's going to cost you about 1,000 or 1,500 naira to be delivered.
Right.
And maybe the meal you're buying is just 2,000 naira, so you're paying 50% of the cost of the food to have
Just
it
to
delivered,
deliver it.
and so on and so forth. There, but with the hope that if this runs the way the ride sharing stuff as the model is as well, where you can literally just order. You can go on the app and order a delivery bike, or just order for somebody. The nearest one shows up, sort of like that. Um, it could work,
Okay.
and sort of maybe even crash down the prices for things like for delivery service, and even beyond that, to even people, mom and pop stores, and people that will work out of their homes and have services that need that they rely heavily on logistics, for them to be able to work. So I think if it's done right, this is where we begin to see the real innovation behind that, because innovation sometimes isn't really about the product, to be honest. It's really more around the processes, how you're able to get the stuff into the market.
Yeah.
So um, it's exciting times. I mean, I think that's one thing that, and this way it gets people employed still, so
Right.
they're able to keep.
Okay, but
their
I
stuff.
got I got I have a business model question, or rather a demand supply question for you. Benga Kamo says here on WhatsApp, it's good that Gokada and Co are innovating and adapting. Doing business here is hard. We hope the government won't come with another innovation to stifle this one as well. There are already enough. So this is my pushback. There are already enough, or quite, from what I see, quite a number of logistics bikes already out on the streets. I can't even number all of that. I mean, but there's so many. Um, do you think that, with them coming into this space, isn't it already crowded as it is? Because this is just Gokada now. I take it that Max is going to make this pivot. I don't know about
Max had been doing deliveries.
deliveries
Funny
already.
enough, I think it was one of the things that started actually before they started the ride hailing side.
Yeah, but then they now left. They now left deliveries to go to
I don't
focus
think
on
they
ride
left
hailing.
deliveries because they were
Ah,
still doing it simultaneously. I've seen Mike's some of the
Max make deliveries.
yeah, make deliveries and stuff like
Okay, so you bring Okada in, they're bringing 2,000 bikes. Max now, I don't know, let's say they do 1,000, 1,500. It looks like Opay's business model is different. They're not really that focused on rides because they're doing wealth management, they're doing all these other
that.
things.
They have presence outside of Lagos, and quite a significant. I mean,
All right,
they're in the
yeah,
north, they're in the east, they're in the they're
Central,
some
North
central.
Central, yeah.
Yeah, they're around the country.
Mm,
They're in. I mean, it's like Max is in 5 other states.
yeah. So,
All
but
right is in
Lagos,
other states as well.
right? But population-wise, I mean, Lagos would be your big draw. Okay,
Y-
my point is this: do I, I think it's already saturated, but do you think there's still space for them to be able to compete for food deliveries and so on? Okay, look at it today. Valentine's Day, there's going to be lots of logistic demand, delivering flowers, chocolates, bears, blah blah blah. But this is a one-off. So going forward over the weekend next week, can the marketplace absorb these additional bikes coming in to this particular space? Is what I'm asking.
I think the market can, and that's just my opinion.
Mm,
It's a what do you call it? We'll see long term. But
yeah.
here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. They've chosen a particular segment of the market, which is the food space. Food delivery is not something that every courier company. In fact, some courier companies just outrightly say no, they won't deliver. So because maybe they're not structured for it. So it's not just put it inside the box behind the rider
Right.
or on the bike. That's not what it is. There's certain things that you need to factor into it there. And so even how the food in itself is packaged, and then carried on.
Right.
Things, for example, like cake delivery. Most of them, there's some cake delivery companies will tell you they don't use bikes. Some of them will literally order a cab and send off the cake that way because they want it that way. Or some of them will tell the people that order the cake, you have to come and pick it up, which limits the amount of the scope or the scale of their business, because then you can't really serve too many people, because your delivery becomes a challenge, and they have to come and pick up from your location. So if somebody wants to order a cake from Lekki, and the cake company is in Antony, you then send somebody there before the person gets there and then comes back, and then you look at traffic and all of those kind of things there. But if there's a delivery service there, it's easier just to send it off like that. So I think there are opportunities in subsectors and in various sectors of the market for us for there to be specialization, not necessarily the generalization of it in that sense.
Cool. Specialization. So what about healthcare, like the blood, the delivery, but those have to be modified for temperature if you're delivering blood and
yes, and
it's
it's quite possible as well. So it's not something that is impossible. It's quite possible to do that. So if we start looking at certain verticals, again, I think one of the things that that one of the things I've said over like past one and a half years is to people in the industry is that, look, we're good. We've sort of established a baseline, and we've sort of proven that, look, we can innovation can come out of here. We can innovate. We understand what it is to innovate in that sense there. But we are more generalists than specialists. And right now, what we need now is to drill down rather than expanding horizontally. Now, what we need to do now is to is depth we need, and those depths are within certain sectors. So even for e-commerce deliveries, for example, you need to look for, the large courier companies, the ones that were existing before the advent of our e-commerce platforms, a lot of them, they weren't ready for e-commerce, and that was one of the early challenges there. And new models had to be developed, and so on over time. So again, I think that it's an opportunity for the market in itself to be able to respond positively, both on the supply side and also on the demand side. So ultimately there, and these guys bridging the gap ultimately there. So I think 2,000 bikes is enough. Not many courier companies have those volumes.
Right. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So
I want to get to government, but let me quickly read Andy's message. Andy says, "Good morning, Rosus and Taiwo. If they spread their tentacles across Nigeria, the market is enough for all of them. We might even need more." Seni says, "Hey, Rotus, please, there'll be no air traffic control signals this morning because planes can't land in Lagos." That's the whole Hamatan thing that's been affecting the aviation industry for now. It says the landing has been diverted to 8 a.m. So I think Shani's message is for you. I know. Well, ending at 8, maybe even 8:15. Taiwo, government was the cause of this, right? Benga Kamu sent that in his WhatsApp message when he said that we hope government won't come back and cause issues. The only reason why the reason why we're even having this conversation is because of government. How do we know? You can talk about innovation all day long. How do we know that our dear God, like this is the Lagos state government I'm talking about now, won't come back with, I don't know, another policy flip? I guess it's a black swan event or the unknown, right?
So I'm not of that. Again, I don't agree with the way the government did it. I don't. I think it could have been handled a lot better. But honestly,
we'll see.
I don't think that if I was in government as well, I don't think I would have done anything different, because there were 750,000 bikes in Lagos before the advent of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
who had combined between Go-Kart, Max, or Ride, or whoever it doesn't be, combined maybe about 10,000 bikes in Lagos at the end of the day.
Okay.
And there were concerns already there. Some of those concerns were security concerns, so some of them were in terms of even traffic and so on and so forth there. And honestly, I had said this there. I remember we had some, I don't know whether it was on air or we had some conversations and stuff like that since last year. And I look, it's not sustainable, to be honest, because by the time you flood the roads, our road networks are not big, good enough. Our roads aren't wide enough. We need alternative roads and stuff to make these things work. As it is, we're all constantly struggling for the little space that is on the road. So imagine all those tiny crevices where these bikes are fitting into. When those get filled up, what happens? So, yes, so their comparative advantage, which is the speed that they claim to have, then diminishes and the business just dies a natural death. Because if you're trying to get on a bike to get you somewhere faster and you're getting there at the same time that it would have taken you to get inside your car, what we need to think about is, instead of being everything in a hurry and in an emergency situation all the time, is to see how we can adjust our time management principles so that we can get to places earlier, rather than having to get to things in a rush. Everything is just in a rush scenario. Say, oh, I'll do it there, and if there's an alternative, I'll take a bike, kind of thing like that there, which is where we're getting to. And then we're constantly blaming the traffic. We all know that there will always be traffic. That's the truth. The congestion will always be there.
Okay.
Why not let's shift our mindset to saying, look, let's get there on time. Don't get me wrong, there will always be emergency situations, but understanding that is not so. Blaming government for me is not. It's not.
I like how you stylishly avoided the question, though. Do you think government will still come back and interrupt what they're doing now with food, or we're safe? It's safe travels for now. Excuse the pun. So, what do you think?
The jury's out there. Government is going to come either way. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, Henry on WhatsApp. The simple answer to your question is that the market absorption rate within Lagos is unknown, but most likely insufficient for the quantity of bikes. I guess time will tell. This is where market and operations research companies can fill the knowledge gap. Henry, thank you. Data. Badly needed. All right. Alea Credits raised $10 million to expand credit in West Africa. Now, I like this market space. They have been advocating for more lending, advocating for building of credit for a lot of people. I take it, and again, this is a Nigerian-based company. Yes. What do you think as far as their raise, as far as how far they can spread their tentacles for them with regards to lending?
So they're based in Nigeria and in the Philippines, and they've done $10 million. I have my concerns about the lending space. I think that we need to focus a bit more on creating more value out there. So we're lending money to people who may not necessarily have the capacity to pay back.
Okay.
Because default rates of some of those things are so huge.
And that's why they start small now.
So again, it's not about starting small. It's about understanding that if you create value. So we're lending because people need capital.
Yes.
Is lending the only way to provide people with capital? It's not the only way. So there are other value creation models where they're even more sustainable, and people don't necessarily have to get into debt, to be able to have those kind of capital. But that's a separate conversation. So they've raised this capital and they want to expand to other parts of Africa. But more importantly, I think they mentioned Ghana and they mentioned some parts in Central and East Africa as well. But the other part of it is that they're also pivoting a bit and they're adding investments to their portfolio of offerings. So people can also save money with them, put money with them, and then get some kind of return on it. I guess it's a way of them also being able to raise that part of that capital, which eventually they will lend, to people at the end of the day. So I think. Well, I mean, $10 million these days.
Doesn't even sound like much anymore. Can you imagine? If they're $10 million, it does sound like a lot of money.
It's a reality because we hear bigger sums, we hear larger sums at the end of the day. So, but I wish them well.
We'll see how it works.
We'll see how it works. It's a competitive space.
All right. Thank you for that, Taiwo. Yinka on WhatsApp. Why is Max, Gokada, and Co. not heading to court against the Lagos state government? Your guess is as good as mine. Morale of the day is every business must have legal backing. The hailing companies messed up there. In fact, Yinka's point was actually as one. I saw one of them. I can't remember. I think it was the co-founder of Gokada. He was on television, and they threw that same question to him. He kind of stylishly avoided it. Let's see. Moses here. We're talking policy flip-flops. And okay, says we're talking about policy flip-flops. Taiwo was talking about tight roads. See, government actions on this bike issue is already affecting foreign investment. Moses is not in favor of what the government did, and he's against the argument of tight roads. He's standing behind the companies, which is where I was standing as well. Move the Okadas, the unregistered Okadas, yes, ban those ones, but leave the Maxis, Gokadas, and those guys. Let them thrive. But anyway, that ship has sailed. Lukman from Bagada says there's no way you won't blame the government here. It's not a well thought out decision because no alternatives have been provided. On the food thing, they will still come and use security as an excuse. So you see, this is Lukman is articulating the fears that they might come back, but we don't know. We'll see. Let's be hopeful. Cynthia says, so what happens to people who leave their houses at 5 a.m. and still getting late, even despite the fact that the ban has been put in place? How many minutes? 2 minutes. I want to talk about this Drake thing with this thing, but we don't have enough time. I really want to talk about Drake and this platform. Let's leave Drake alone and his creative platform here. Ethiopian EdTech talent company Gebeya closes a 2 million seed round. So now they've gone from lending to EdTech. Software outsourcing marketplace company. You've got 2 minutes. Your thoughts on their raise? 2 million is even smaller than 10 million. But
yeah, I mean, I was worried. I'm worried for them. Honestly, I'm thinking that I'm wondering what they're going to be able to achieve with $2 million. You know, but it depends on the scale of what they're trying to achieve. You know, in that.
But sense. I love this space. EdTech. I mean, this is.
Yeah, but I'm beginning to. So I ask myself and say, what kind of dent and impact can they really have in there as well? So those are the concerns that I have. But it's always a good thing when we see in that direction. And that space, that the EdTech space, I'm not sure has been able to raise. I mean, in Africa, I'm not sure how much money they've been able to raise relative to other spaces.
Like internet one of the challenges.
E-commerce and stuff like that. Internet could be it also because education is not really big in Africa, to be honest. Africa, particularly the way largely youth population who don't really want to go to school. They don't want to learn anything, to be honest. So I just want to be rich. I just don't have money.
Okay, some people would disagree with you because coding. I mean, I think is the curriculum twist that we need to see.
So coding again, let's look at the percentage of how many of them that have been into the coding or who are getting into coding or who are getting into the tech space at the end of the day. So again, the jury is out there on some of these things there, and we need to ask ourselves. So if a company like Andela is actually is struggling to put in the sack junior developers, they're not struggling to find work for even the mid developers, which means the demand even globally is more for senior developers because they're for quality credit. So again,
I might have some challenges.
So again,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Taiwo, thanks for joining us on Tech Friday Business Express. Thank you all for your messages. Cynthia, Lukman, Moses, Yinka, everybody else. We appreciate it. You guys have a lovely Valentine's Day. Have a lovely weekend. We will see you on Monday. Business Express on Smooth 98.1. Signing out.
Business Express.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Solid.
Bye, Taiwo. Have a lovely day.
You too.
Yeah. Valentine's Day wedding. You want to go and show out.
See you.
For your boss to pay your salary 4 months in advance, or for your landlord to give you 70% discount on your next rent. Is it even possible for a bus conductor to allow passengers enter without paying? Some things may be impossible, but on QuickTeller, everything is possible, like shopping from over 100 international stores on QuickTeller Global Mall, paying your estate levy, toll gate fees, buying event tickets, funding your betting wallets, sending money, paying electricity bills, school fees, buying airtime, everything. Download the QuickTeller app or visit quickteller.com to make that payment now. QuickTeller, everyday payments made easy.
Hi Lagos, my name is Buchi Franklin and you're listening to The Smooth Breakfast.
Smooth 98.1.
It's a brand new decade filled with opportunities to soar high and reach for your wildest dreams. And the best part? You don't have to do it alone. Not when you've got Travel Wings. I said the amazing discounts weren't enough. Travel Wings Valentine's packages brings you the absolute best deals on tickets and holiday trips you can find. But don't take my word for it. Head on to travelwings.com.ng or call 016-361010 to find out more. Travel Wings. Get your wings to fly.
Love is in the air.
Share some love and warmth with hugs, a smile, and some smooth music.
Say that you love someone, you need to show them how much. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Happy Valentine's from Smooth